This is the Shelf Life, and I'm Anagha.
And I'm Riddhi.
We are going to talk about.
Art Matters by Neil Gaiman.
So the book is a graphic novel-ish. It's not a novel; it's a non-fiction, but it's graphic, and it was my first graphic book of any kind because I had this feeling that okay, now I'm an adult and I'm a serious reader, so I can't read graphic stuff. But it was so much fun. It's about creativity. It's about your creative impulse and how to nurture the creative, artistic side in us. And Neil Gaiman is an author who is known for fiction and writing these mysterious, scary sometimes novels. So when he writes about creativity, it's from a very different lens. It's not from a preachy lens. It's a very fun. It feels very contemporary.
Throughout the book, I felt, when he was talking about everything that he spoke about, he doesn't just speak with conviction. He has so much experience that you can feel it. Like he's literally giving you tips to be an artist, tips to live in a world of art. It's so easily relatable and you can understand it because it's something that every person as an artist goes through at some stage in their life.
Right. Also, the whole thing of what is creativity and who are artists, he also puts it very beautifully. That how to, and I love the illustrations also. So big shout out to
big shout out to Chris.
Yeah. He has illustrated it. It's so minimal, but it's so precise. It's really
so precise. It's very to the point and it's very limited to what needs to be there.
Perfect. So I loved the book. Did you like it?
I loved it. Like I happened to read it in the form of a soft copy, but I'm definitely like, this is one of the books I feel like I should have in my cupboard.
Absolutely. This time we have come up with a format where we are going to ask each other questions, and through the answers we will discuss about the book. So let's go. Who's going first?
I'll ask you.
Chalo.
Okay. So there's this chapter in the book that says why your future depends on libraries, reading, and daydreaming. So now, what is your answer to this question?
Okay. So my answer is that all three are interconnected. Reading, library, and daydreaming, they can't exist without each other. So, and I remember feeling like, and the more I interact with people, the more I understand that daydreaming is it's so common in all of us. We all do it. We all think of alternate scenarios where we could have said different things, been different things. And anybody who likes to escape reality, because really what is nice in the reality that we exist in, to not escape it. So I think everyone who likes that can read. Then comes the reading part, which is if you basically like to daydream, think of alternate scenarios, you should read, because here someone else has laid out maybe a few years of deep research or a very integral part of their experience for you to learn from and explore and interpret on your own. And sometimes it's not even that. Sometimes it's just someone has had fun with their art, and when you read it, you have fun too with them. And libraries are something, and libraries now, I feel so old saying this, but this generation is never going to understand the pleasure of having that library period in school.
I agree.
And all the Enid Blyton's famous fives that we have
read, books all with everyone in the class.
Oh my god, yes. And also the fact that library has so many books, it gives you a variety on what you want to read, what's the genre. There will be a librarian who will facilitate it, who will like look at the choice of your book and look at you, okay, is this age appropriate, is this am I issuing the right book? All that had a charm of its own, And
also even with libraries, I think it's like whenever like even right now we are giving book recommendations, we give book reviews, we go somewhere to look for books, right? But when you go to a library, you can pick up any book. and
Right. Right.
that any book can make you someone different. There's a
Absolutely.
completely unbiased stack of books, and today you might pick out something about Egyptian mummies, tomorrow you might pick up something about cats, and you don't know that there are endless possibilities of what the book can impact you within a library, and it is your choice. You just read like that one paragraph at the end of the book, behind the book, or in the beginning of the
Hmm.
book, and you decide like, yeah, this is the book I want to read. That's all.
Correct. Correct.
so
Also, there's
so
no pressure of liking the book. When I buy a book, I'm like, okay, I've bought it now. I better like it now. But in library, it's like I've issued the book. I may or may not like it. I
like
have to return it after a week. So I will give it a fair chance, and I'll
I
be
think we
like not
always end up reading more books if we have a library subscription. Like, no
yeah,
doubt, hands down, you will read millions of books in the library,
definitely.
and you just won't buy as many books.
Absolutely. And I think that's also because, and this is what I love about libraries and in general secondhand books, that they don't just have the story that's written in it. It has a story of its previous owners, of its previous readers. It has that whenever I am reading a secondhand book, I feel like, oh God, someone has read this before me. Many people have read this before me and they have marked something, or they have like dog-eared some page, and then I feel like, oh, they have dog-eared this. Let me find something if
Hmm.
I haven't found
Hmm.
something yet in this page. So that way, I think all three of these, reading, libraries, and daydreaming, are essential for personal growth also, because in our limited existence, in our upbringing, in our demography, in from where we live and how we grow, we
Hmm.
can't experience everything. But we can experience vicariously through books and through the lives of many other people. And these people don't need to be intellectuals. They just need to be different than
Exactly.
you are.
Hmm.
That's it, and that does it. You will grow. So
And I
yeah,
feel
that's and
like,
it
people who write, people who are authors are essentially daydreamers who have taken on daydreaming as their profession. I mean,
absolutely,
they've literally
absolutely.
just sat down in a place, thought about things, and just had the courage to write them down.
That's so true. That is very true. And which is also why I feel that, see, there are so many editors who are well read people, but they never become writers. They edit the books of all these authors. And I always used to wonder, these editors, they're such wonderful people. Like, if they know so much about books, why don't they write? Because I've understood that writing is a very different skill from editing or reading or anything. Sometimes people tell me that, oh, you read so much, you should write. And I'm like, no, I don't have that skill at all. It's absolutely a different skill. It's different. It's like building a house and entering a room. So when I'm reading, I'm entering a room. But when I'm writing, I'm building a house. And it's so different.
But
I just feel.
I feel that readers have the inherent capacity, or they develop the
Hmm.
capacity to write. Not
That is.
books, not necessarily books, but when I say write, I also mean talk or communicate or things like that.
That is true. That is true. Also, it's because their worldview has expanded, and it's never going to go back to its original size. And then it just keeps. That's what I love about books, that they let you live so much. So yeah, I think all these three, anyone who daydreams, which is basically any human being, has to read and needs to have a library subscription, even if it's an online library. I think it's great. When the bell rings and you know that it's your library guy with your book, the level
Oh,
of excitement. So now, next question for you is, what does creativity mean to you?
okay. This, the meaning of creativity, I think, has changed a lot over the past few years for me. I think individually, creativity is something different for everyone, but mostly it means for me a learning curve. So it can be
Hmm.
anything. It can be anything
Hmm.
new you try. It can be anything new you do, something different,
Hmm.
anything that gives you uh, in non-layman terms, increasing marginal utility is creativity for you.
Yeah. Hashtag commerce student. All
Hashtag
commerce
commerce
students will
students.
say.
So it can be anything for anyone. It can be reading a new book, it can be making a new painting, it can be writing something, it can be learning a new sport, it can be in colorful Excel sheets, it can be anything. If you're learning something new from it, for you, it's creativity. It
Nice.
might be something others have done for their whole life. It might be something that is replicated all over the world. It might be something universal. But if you do it for the first time, it's creativity for you. Simple.
How lovely. That's a very, it's a very wholesome explanation. I think that's so well put. And what was the first time when you thought that okay, I'm a creative person, or or I want to, or do you think that people who are
I think,
technicians, who are scientists, are they creative? Do you like regard that as
of
creativity?
course, everything. I think that's what I said. Now, thoda point, if there is any growth or anything new that you have done, it is creativity. It can be in any field, it can be in any genre, it can be anything. It's creativity. If your mind has created a new idea, you're implementing it, it's creativity. It's as simple as that.
Nice, nice. All right. Okay.
What is creativity for you?
I think for me it's creating, like you said, it's creating something that wasn't before you created it. Because there isn't. Even if there are 10 cars, the car that I have made was not made before, because this one is made by me. So I feel anything where you leave a stamp of yourself, which is anything, it's right from the our handwriting to anything that we do, it's ours because it's unique to us. So for me, creativity is just creation of something, like you said, which has come to you naturally. You know what you do because you like it and not because others are doing it. But then I don't find it creative. When it's because it's the right thing to do, or because everyone is doing it, because, or then I think then creativity, a very on important element for creativity is honesty. I feel if you're honest your attempt to do something, I find that's very creative, and it's very creatively satisfying for the person who's doing it also. So I think, yeah, honesty and creativity are very the same thing for me. Yeah, but what you said really made me think a lot about how biased I was towards what's creative. You know, I always thought that it has to be something innovative, something deeply detailed, intricate, artistic. But you're right. It doesn't need to be all those things. All right.
So, moving
Next.
on to the next question.
Yes. Tell.
Okay, so the next question is, why do you think that art matters?
Huh. So I feel that there is there is art in everything. Firstly, that uh, if you want it to be, so I can cook as a chore, or I can cook like it's art, because everything, literally everything that we do, even if I'm folding clothes that have come from laundry, I can still be artistic with it, because there is nothing that can't be done artistically. So I feel that if you are an artist, or if you have art in you, it will find an outlet eventually in something that you do. So I think art matters because it just makes life so much more. It really um, softens the edges of uh, all the mundane things that we do, or all the routine things that we are stuck in. Art gives it glitter and uh, gentleness, I feel. And
Okay.
regarding art, I also, while I was talking about this laundry wala thing, I remembered that women of the older generation, you know, our grandmothers, our great grandmothers, oh my god, the recipes that they have invented when there was no exposure of any kind, to the internet, the kind of crochet work or like even small things that they used to do, it just goes on to show that your art doesn't need validation, a training of any sort. It doesn't. It's just that everywhere you just need to look, and then you need to channelize your artistic energy towards it. And I think the women in those times, whatever they used to do without any real encouragement, it just goes on to show that how much art there is and how you don't really have a choice when you're an artist. You just have to do what you do,
Right.
which is make art. So yeah, I think art is what matters the most to me. Of course, money matters a lot to me. Of course, achievement and material success does matter, but art is
Yeah.
nothing is worth it
And
if
I
there is no
think
art.
even Neil speaks very blatantly about this, that to
Hmm.
do something which is like what he wanted to always do, to write fiction, he knew that he
Hmm.
had to do some things which he didn't want to do at the time, which was not his end goal. So there are things that you have to
Correct.
do to get where you have to be, and I think it's part of understanding what the balance is between the two.
Correct.
keeping
Correct. You
keeping
also.
keeping your focus clear, making sure you're in the
Hmm.
right direction, but at the same time
Right.
not being very adamant that I'll not do this,
I'm not.
or
Right, right. He also speaks about this thing where and it's so well illustrated because there's this direction board,
huh,
and then Neil says that, and I love how we're calling him Neil like he's our friend. So when Neil says that, when you know that there is this mountain that you need to cross, which is of your creative pursuit, it can be completing a novel, it can be anything, it can be creating a painting. If you have this creative pursuit and if you want to make other choices, ask yourself whether it's taking you towards the mountain or if
or
you are
it's
taking a
taking
detour
away. Yeah,
you away.
that is
So,
that is a
and if you,
beautiful illustration. That is a
yeah,
beautiful illustration,
it
truly.
is, it is. And it does, clarify so much. It's a very strategic way of approaching art or creativity. Like, okay, do things around it, but don't do things which will take you far and you'll have to travel the extra mile to get where you are, not just go ahead. So I think, yeah, that was a good one. Okay, now I'm going to ask you the next question. What could you relate with the most in the book? What was most relatable?
uh Relate most, okay, right off the bat, Max relate for me was, that part where he says, I didn't have a career plan, I just had a list of things that I wanted to do. And
Right,
that was just like Max
right,
relate,
right.
because now at the point where I am, I think about these things, like what
Hmm.
career means, what life means, and I can't help but think
Hmm.
think that I want to do so many things. Like
Correct.
they don't necessarily have to be related to each other, but I want to do them because I have one life and I want to live my life to the fullest. So it's like, I don't know, what he said made just so much sense. Like, he just had a bucket list of things that he wanted to do, and he did them.
And he didn't set out with any plan, but he did all of those things.
He
The
did it.
list that he
He put
stated.
in effort, he put in uh, time, he put in energy, he put in his art. He did those things. It's not like he just wanted to do it, he executed them, but he knew, and he was uh, he was disciplined enough to do things. Like
Hmm.
career gives you a pathway, career gives you an exact time
Roadmap.
frame, it gives you a roadmap,
Hmm.
you know what you're supposed to do. But when you have a bucket list of things that you want to do, there's nobody who's going to tell you, okay, you have to study for an exam, you're going to be evaluated.
Hmm.
Those are the things, those are the checkpoints that
Correct.
you have to put for yourself. and
Right.
and he
Right.
did all of those things, which is why he's a successful author today. But it's very inspiring to hear someone as successful as him to talk about these things, because there are
It's
people like
very
us
true.
who are looking out for inspiration like that.
Absolutely. In fact, Neil Gaiman is the book bloggers that whom I admire a lot. Neil Gaiman is their favorite author, and it comes up in so many of their book discussions that our favorite author is Neil Gaiman, and I always used to think that he'll be someone like Jane Austen, काफी ऐसे बुढ़ा टाइप का पहले के जमाने में कुछ, and he's very contemporary. He's
Very
not at
contemporary.
all old, like not at all old by the author standard old. He's so good. Yeah, that's true. When he says it, it just gives it so much more depth about how much he's achieved.
The next question is, why would you recommend this book to someone who doesn't consider themselves to be an artist, who doesn't think they are an artist?
Okay, firstly, I have anyone who doesn't consider themselves an artist, I really have news for you. You are. Like, you are an artist. What makes you think that you aren't? Just because do not rely on popular literature, movies, or what you're told to feel that if I do this, then I'm artistic. Otherwise, I'm not, because you are. You are artistic. You might
Bang
like
on.
one form of art. Yeah. And we are just taught that you can just be these many things. And I feel that our generation, we are really defying those things and telling that no, we are going to be a lot of other things. More number of things than you could have ever thought a person can be like 10 years ago. Now is a great time to explore your artistic abilities. I think anyone of you who thinks that they are not an artist, or the artist in them is dormant, or you feel like, okay, I used to be an artist in college, in school, whatever, now I've lost touch with your art, and that can happen, that does happen, that you really have to, because when I look at my drawings and stuff, when I was in 8th standard, I used to do a much better job than I do now at them, because I've just lost touch. And at that time, it was all I used to do. I used to just take pen and paper. I used to not care if I'm good or not. I used to just practice. So I feel if you're an artist, which you are. So I'm going to say that all the artists out there, you just need to pick up this book if you want to just get a few insights about how creativity comes to you and then what to do with it. Also, how failure is not like when it happens. It's no, sorry. Failure is not something that if it happens, this is what I have to do. It's when it happens I have to do this, because failure is going to come. If you're in any creative pursuit, if you're doing anything at all, if you're taking any chances with your life, you are going to fail. And if you're doing
Yeah.
it creatively, artistically, it's going to be a personal failure and people won't know about it as much. If you're going out giving exams, seeking jobs, your failures will be a little more public, but there will be failures. And I think the way he describes how like tons of failures actually told him so many things about himself that he wouldn't have found out otherwise. I think it's beautiful. So there's this. I feel like it keeps us. What keeps us away from creativity or artistic pursuit is the fear of failure. That we feel that we are going to suck at it, so let's not try it at all. So the part where he talks about failure, I thought it would be really useful. So people should pick it up for the great illustrations and how he says that failure is inevitable and how to fight it. And it doesn't mean that you either fail or you succeed. You fail and you succeed. So it's not going to be like, okay, I'm going to be amazing all the time. So yeah, tell me, what were you saying?
So just related to this, when he also says something like, he says make mistakes. When you make mistakes, it means you're doing something, which is more important
Correct.
than doing it right. At least you're doing something. So even if it goes wrong, it's okay. At least you've done it.
Correct. Correct. Absolutely. And I think make mistakes is something that is the opposite of which is what we are told since childhood. That okay, don't make
Exactly.
mistakes, huh? लक्ष देऊन कर, huh? I see now you're going to
इरेजर
fail. Now
वापरायलाच
you're
नाही
going to
लागला पाहिजे.
हाँ. Oh, ruined our childhood. I'm telling you. Yeah. So
I know,
I
it's
feel
okay.
that it's everyone should read it. Like, guys, please go give it a read. All right, Riddhi. What is the one thing that you wish you knew earlier as an artist?
Okay. whenever you start to do something new as an artist, what
Hmm.
happens is you start getting better at it. You start getting better at it. The
Hmm.
more you do, the more involved you get in it. And then you see
Hmm.
other people doing it, better people who have been doing it for a longer time. You see that they are good, they are better than you. You are not as good as them. So there is
Hmm.
always a time in your life where there is a gap between how good you want to be and where you are.
Hmm.
And this is the time where you expect a lot of perfection from yourself as an artist because you want to go there. And most of the
Right.
times, this is the time when people give up their art, where they forget, what
Right.
being an artist actually means. They
Hmm.
forget what it is to do art, what it is to make good art, that we just make art because it makes us feel good, that it's a safe place, that it's just an escape. And
Right.
and it's very important to realize during this time especially to not stop making art.
Hmm.
And I think if I had to tell all the artists of the world or anyone who's an artist, then I would just say that, doesn't matter what you do, how good you do, it's just important that you do it. Because at the end of the day, you're doing it for yourself and you're doing it for your own happiness. And the
Hmm.
whole comparison, and you know what, you are going to tend to compare. You will see better art, you'll see better things, you'll want to be the best, you want to make perfect drawings, you want to make exact things, but perfection is overrated.
Oh yeah.
You just
And it's
have to
boring.
do it. And in that time when you know what is good and you're judging your own art in front of the good, you just have to stop. That is the most important thing for an artist, because every artist will only, like, when that stage comes, that is when you start recognizing, that is when you're supposed to start recognizing your own style, because your own style will be
Hmm.
uh, influenced by your thought process, by your likes, by your designs, by your experiences. And if you stop, you'll never go there. You'll never reach that point where your art will be something that someone else will be comparing theirs with.
Hmm.
So it's like, you
Hmm.
just have to go on and make more art.
That's so helpful. When you were saying this perfectionism wala thing, he's written it also written it in the book um, that there's no one way to be an artist, and it's okay to be a lot of things together, and there's no brochure, and there's not going to be. And I feel that when someone who's as accomplished as him says it, it becomes a rule.
Yeah.
Also, there's this beautiful line. It just struck me that he says that if you're doing something that nobody else has done, then there are no rules made in that arena because nobody has
Yes.
tried it before you.
Yes.
So go try it. Like you will find something new there.
Because
There
i
are
i
no rules.
thought I had that. I was like, if I want to paint, I want this paper, I want this brush, only then it will be good. Then I want these colors, only then it will be good. I can do better only if I have this. But then I was just like, I am waiting for things to happen and I'm actually not doing anything, whereas I
Hmm.
should be doing things, and then these things will just, like, come on their own.
Right, right. What's your most important takeaway from this book?
uh, Most important takeaway is the roller coaster illustration where he says, enjoy the ride. Because he says to let go and enjoy the ride, because the ride takes you to some remarkable and unexpected places.
Oh my god, I know. It's and I remember the illustration of the roller
Well,
coaster.
he's
Oh
it's
god,
like
love
it's
it.
like how a presentation should be. You remember the picture.
Right, right. It is amazing. Wow, thank you. And that I think thank you. That will be my takeaway too because I couldn't have summarized it better. I was thinking about what I did think about the book overall, but I think this is what will really stay with me now. So yeah, nice. This was fun. Okay, so if you guys like this video, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Yeah, I feel like I think now we have arrived as YouTubers. When we say this on a video, bas abhi ho gaya. Abhi we can call ourselves a YouTuber. So yeah, and if you have any book recommendations, we'll read all your recommendations. We are paying
Eventually,
attention,
slowly.
so keep recommending. We'll incorporate it in the coming podcasts or book discussions. If you have any particular topic that you want to discuss, any genre, whether it's fiction, non-fiction, historic, anything, write in the comments below. And yeah, Rithi, do you have any parting message?
Keep reading. Just make good art. Read good books. Have good coffee. Have good tea.
And have good conversations, guys.